the guardian of law. In the heart of Ngoya village, the sun bathed the horizon in warm hues, casting long shadows from the towering baobab trees that guarded the path to the river. Laughter erupted from a group of children playing tag, their shrill voices mingling with the rustling leaves, while women bustled around large clay pots, scents of spices and roasted maize wafting through the air. For Amina, the sonorous hum of life in the village filled her with a sense of belonging, yet a persistent knot of curiosity tugged at her heart. She often found herself wandering into the embrace of nature, drawn to the ancient stories whispered by the wind. Today was no exception. During lunch, as the villagers savored their meals, Amina slipped away, her feet guiding her toward the sacred grove she had heard so much about from her mother. Rod, the guardian spirit, watches over us, her mother used to say, her eyes sparkling with reverence. But you must be respectful. He reveals gifts only to those with pure intentions. The stories enchanted Amina, yet as she wandered through the thick foliage, a question brewed within her. Was Rod really a protector, or merely a reflection of her village's unacknowledged fears? As she stepped into the grove, the air shifted, growing heavy with an ethereal energy. Ancient trees arched overhead, creating a canopy that filtered the sunlight into soft, dancing patterns on the ground. Amina's heart raced with trepidation and awe. She knelt at the base of an ancient stone shrine, adorned with offerings and delicate carvings of animals entwined with human figures. Here, she felt the pulse of the land beneath her, a coiled tension whispering of secrets yet to unravel. Amina, a voice cold, smooth and melodic, emanating from the shadows. She looked up, and before her stood a tall man, his sharp features softened by a warm smile. He was lean and muscular, his skin gleaming with a radiance that caught the sunlight just right. At that moment, Amina knew this was no ordinary man. "I am Rod," he proclaimed, his voice enveloping her like a gentle breeze. "But why appear now?" she asked, feeling as though every word could break the fragile atmosphere surrounding them. "I've been watching," he replied, his eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom. "Curiosity is a powerful force, Amina. It can lead to truth, or peril." The air crackled with tension, and Amina felt a chill run down her spine. "What does that mean?" Her voice trembled, yet the pull to understand drove her on. "It means your village is hiding from itself. Just as I can shift my form, so too can we all hide behind masks. The drought may have physically crossed them off from the land, but the real struggle lies within." His words struck a deep chord within Amina, resonating with her longing to uncover her people's true selves. Suddenly, from the depths of the woods, the familiar laughter of children echoed through the grove, contrasting sharply with Rod's words. Amina's heart sank as she realized she was not just a witness but a player in a larger game. "Can we solve these mysteries?" Amina interjected, her determination solidifying. "Can we find the truth?" Rod stepped closer, a flicker of compassion illuminating his eyes. "If you dare confront the shadows, yes. But be warned, sometimes those who are close become distant when secrets seep into the open." Though Amina felt both excited and terrified, the pull of destiny overwhelmed her fear. "I'll speak to them. We have to unite our voices against the drought. Perhaps that will help." Rod nodded but added, "It will require not only unearthing truth but fortitude in facing that truth together." As she emerged from the grove, the world outside no longer felt quite the same. Amina now held the weight of her village in her heart, and for the first time, she understood that her intimate relationship with Rod was not merely a connection to the supernatural. It also entailed an unraveling of the hidden fears within her community. Still, questions pricked at her consciousness. Could she truly rally her friends, family, and community to confront the realities masked beneath the spirit of Rod? Would they embrace the chance for collective healing, or would the unveiling of truth unravel the very fibers that held them together? With a newfound sense of purpose, she returned to the village, her spirit ignited by the promise that change lay ahead. But at what cost? Whispers from the well. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue across Ngoya village as the evening approached. Amina's heart raced as she rejoined the laughter and chatter of her neighbors. Barefoot and filled with purpose, she wove through the bustling crowd, eager to gather her friends, Juma and their village elder, Mama Wanjiku. It was time to share her encounter with Rod and the weight of truth that hung in the air. Amina found Juma near the well, his hands busy hauling a heavy bucket of water. His sun-kissed skin glistened with sweat, yet his spirit lit up the cool evening air. As Juma splashed water into his wooden trough, Amina approached, urgency in her step. "Juma, I need to talk to you." His brow furrowed with curiosity. "Is everything all right, Amina? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I might have," she exclaimed, momentarily forgetting her seriousness. "You remember Rod, right? The guardian spirit of the grove? I met him today, and it's not what you think." Juma leaned closer, curiosity compelling him forward. "What do you mean? What happened?" Drawing a deep breath, Amina recounted her meeting with Rod, emphasizing his insights about the village and its hidden shadows. As she spoke, the distant echoes of children playing filled the air, blending with the low hum of the evening cicadas. Juma's expression shifted from fascination to disbelief as he processed her words. "But Rod is supposed to be a benevolent spirit, isn't he? What do you mean by shadows?" "The drought," Amina pressed, her voice steady. "Rod said it's not just about the land, it's about us. The fear and secrets we carry are what keep the rain from coming." She watched as Juma gnawed on his lower lip, deep in thought. "We can't just confront these things, Amina. What if we lose everything? Traditions keep us together. If we challenge them?" A mingled sharpness and warmth filled the air, and Amina could tell that fear clawed at Juma's heart. "Juma, we're already losing everything. The longer we avoid the truth, the more it will tear us apart. We have to talk to Mama Wanjiku. She is the heart of our village." Juma nodded reluctantly. "All right, let's find her then." As they made their way toward Mama Wanjiku's hut, the heavy evening air tickled Amina's skin with both anticipation and dread. Would the elder listen? Was this knowledge too burdensome for their small village? Mama Wanjiku's hut was adorned with vibrant woven fabric that rippled in the gentle breeze, its welcoming appearance a testament to her nurturing spirit. They found her inside, weaving with a delicate precision, her fingers moving gracefully as stories unfolded with every stitch. "Mama Wanjiku," Amina called softly, unsure if interrupting was the right choice. The elder paused, glancing at them with a smile that warmed the room. "You two look troubled. What is it?" Amina had a revelation, Juma interjected, urgency creeping into his tone. She met Rod, and he shared something important about the drought and the village. Mama Wanjiku's brow furrowed, her expression shifting from maternal warmth to alert concern. "Amina, Rod has always been a symbol of protection. What did he say?" Drawing courage from her friends, Amina relayed Rod's message about the hidden shadows within their community. The elder listened intently, but Amina noticed the subtle tightening in her jaw as the weight of these words settled in the air. "We cannot ignore Rod's teachings, Mama Wanjiku," Amina pressed, her voice steady. "Our internal fears have created this drought. The longer we avoid confronting them, the worse it will become. Do you believe revealing these truths will unite us, Amina? Or can they fracture our very identity?" Mama Wanjiku's question hung in the air like a heavy mist, and Amina sensed doubt creeping in. Juma interjected, his voice a low whisper. "But if we don't do something, we might lose everything we hold dear." Suddenly a faint rattle resounded, pulling their focus outside. A child's voice rang out, laughing and chasing after the wind. The innocent joy brought a bittersweet smile to the elder's face. "Our children are our life, and we must protect them. Yet you are right, without confronting our shadows, there can be no growth." Amina sensed a shifting tide in the elder's heart. "Then what can we do? How do we summon the courage?" As Mama Wanjiku pondered, the evening shadows deepened around them, cloaking the hut in an anticipation that buzzed through the air. "The well holds old counsel. We shall gather the villagers tomorrow near its edge, and share in your truth. Let it resonate with those brave enough to listen." With resolve building in her chest, Amina nodded fiercely. "Tomorrow, we'll face our shadows together." The elder's gaze softened with understanding, and a smile broke through her stoicism. "Then let us prepare. We'll need unity if we are to emerge from this darkness." As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Amina's heart pulsed with excitement and trepidation. The whispers of Rod echoed in her mind. A pursuit of truth could yield both light and shadow. Tomorrow would unveil their greatest challenge, and she silently vowed to summon the courage they all needed. Would she be able to cradle that truth and guide her village towards the rain they so desperately sought? In that moment, Amina understood. The path toward healing would demand more than just facing their fears. It would lay bare the intimate bonds that intertwined them all, revealing the beauty in vulnerability and the promise of redemption that awaited at the dawn of understanding. Gathering clouds. As dawn brightened the horizon with its gentle light, Amina awoke with a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation. Today was the day. Today, the villagers would gather. However, the stakes felt higher than ever. She could almost hear the excitement mingling with anxiety swirling around her, like playful clouds teasing the sun. Her parents were already at work outside, tending to their small garden. There was something almost sacred about their rituals, a rhythm that spoke of their commitment to nature and the rhythms of life. Amina took a moment to breathe deeply, grounding herself in the sense of earth and blossoming flowers. "Mama," Amina called as she stepped outside. "Can I help you today?" Her mother looked back, her weathered face breaking into a warm smile. "Of course, Amina, but are you prepared for today? I can see it on your face. You have something important to share, don't you?" "I do. I met Rod and Juma and I will gather everyone by the well. We're going to talk about the drought and what he revealed." Amina's voice trembled slightly. Despite her resolve, the weight of her own words felt heavy in the morning air. A shadow flickered across her mother's face. "Rod, that is significant. Remember, some believe in the old ways and others in the new. You must tread carefully." "I know, Mama. I believe this is what we need. Things won't change until we confront our fears." The determination in her voice caught her mother by surprise, though the worry remained in her eyes. "Then I support you, Amina. Just beware of how truths can affect the bonds we have." With a nod, Amina turned and set off towards the well, her heart racing with the thought of confrontation. She found Juma already waiting for her, his brows furrowed in thought. The villagers would start gathering soon, and she could sense the tension in the air. "Do you think they'll listen?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of anxiety. "I have to believe they will," Amina replied with conviction. "They deserve to know. If the drought is a result of what we've been hiding, then we have to confront it as a community." The late morning sun climbed higher, its rays glinting off the surface of the well as neighboring villagers began to arrive, calling and laughing, blissfully unaware of the weighty discussions ahead. Amina stood tall as Mama Wanjiku approached alongside a few community members, casting a glance of reassurance in her direction. "Gather around," the elder beckoned, voice strong and warm, immediately drawing in the villagers. They held onto their children and exchanged curious glances, the energy thick with anticipation. As they settled around the well, Amina felt its gravitational pull deepen, echoing the sense of urgency in her heart. "Today, we gather not just to fill our buckets but to reflect upon our choices and fears." Mama Wanjiku began with resonance, her expression stern yet inviting. "Amina wishes to share an important revelation about the spirit who watches over us." A ripple of murmurs flowed through the crowd, some skeptical, others intrigued. Amina felt Juma's hand brush against hers, a tether that anchored her resolve. "Friends, neighbors," Amina stepped forward, her voice steady despite the flurry of emotions swirling within her. "I met Rod in the sacred grove. He revealed that the drought we endure is not just a punishment from the spirits. It reflects the shadows and secrets we've chosen to carry within us." A tense silence enveloped them, broken only by the distant cooing of birds. Some villagers exchanged worried looks, while others folded their arms defensively. Amina pressed on, buoyed by the support of her friends. "Rod said that our unity relies on confronting our fears, our truths. If we wish for the rains to return, we must first seek to understand the burdens we carry." "It's easy to blame the spirits for our problems," Juma chimed in, his voice growing firmer. "But Rod also said we've been hiding from ourselves, and it's time to face that." Several villagers whispered among themselves, uncertainty clinging to their words. "What does she know? What do we have to face?" Mama Wanjiku raised her hand, silencing the murmurs. Her gaze swept over the crowd, capturing their attention. "Amina and Juma speak from their hearts. Change requires courage, and though we may fear the unknown, there is strength in unity." At that moment, Amina stepped forward, her graceful form indicating her sorrow after recent losses. I lost my husband to the river's unpredictability, and it shattered my faith. I feared asking why, fearing the answers I could find. What if these truths only bring more pain? Amina felt the thread of compassion unite the villagers as Amina's vulnerability resonated in their hearts. But what if confronting that pain allows us to heal, to grow? She ventured, her voice now ringing with emotion. A heaviness filled the air, questions hanging like moths to a flame. Woven in Amina's sorrow was a flicker of hope. The truth may scare us, Amina continued, buoyed by her own resolve, but it may also draw us closer together, empowering us to face what has haunted us. As the village contemplated her words, Amina saw glimpses of understanding in their eyes, a determination beginning to stoke a newfound fire. The echoes of doubt seemed to wane, replaced by ripples of courage that wove through the group. With the sun high in the sky, illuminating the well beside them, Amina knew she had taken the first step toward igniting a storm of change. Though the path ahead remained uncertain, she felt the collective heartbeat of the village synchronize, an urging that embraced hope as the rains remained elusive but ever-present on the horizon. Together, they would walk this path into the unknown, united by the promise of confronting shadows and welcoming the rains that would eventually come, bringing life back to their beloved Ngoya village. Secrets in the shadows. The sun set, painting the sky with fiery hues of orange and pink, but the air was thick with apprehension as the villagers took time to reflect on Amina's impassioned speech. She watched as the weight of the discussion hung heavy in the atmosphere, mirrored by the deepening shadows around them. Conversations whirled, the questions simmering just below the surface. The following morning, the village awoke to an uneasy quiet, and Amina felt it in her bones. She slipped out of her house to find Juma waiting near the well, tracing patterns in the dust with his foot. His face was taut with thought. "Did they come around?" he asked as Amina approached. "Not yet," she sighed. "But I believe they heard me." Mama Wanjiku was supportive, and I think Amina's vulnerability made an impact. Juma nodded, pushing a hand through his tousled hair. "But it's only the beginning. They need time to understand what this truly means." The two friends fell into a comfortable silence as the village slowly roused around them. Children's laughter broke the morning stillness, a soothing balm on their anxious minds. But Amina recognized that laughter belied the truths written deep within their elders, secrets that could unravel their bond if left unchecked. "Today we should explore the remnants of tales untold," Juma finally suggested, breaking the silence. "Our first challenge is to find out what those shadows truly are." Rod indicated that they are tied to us, but how? Amina's eyes brightened with the prospect. "Let's go to the shrine. We need to learn more about Rod. Perhaps others have spoken to him too." Together, they weaved through the village, their excitement blooming like the flowers that adorned the fields. The path to the shrine twisted through dense thickets, leading them to a clearing dipped in tranquility. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting playful patterns upon the ground, the perfect backdrop to their quest. The shrine stood resolute, adorned with freshly laid offerings. Amina knelt, brushing her fingers over the ancient carvings. This is our history. The roots of our identity," she whispered. Juma knelt beside her, puzzled by the worn inscriptions. "But these stories haven't changed. They were formed for a purpose. It's what binds us." "Exactly," Amina exclaimed, her hand resting on the intricate carvings of animals intertwined with the stories of ancestors. "But the danger lies in misunderstanding them. If we unearth their truths, perhaps we can connect them to Rod's warnings about our shadows." As dusk settled, a flicker of movement caught Amina's eye. An elderly woman approached, her frail frame wrapped in flowing fabric, her face etched with time. It was Mama Lesedi, the local storyteller, known for her knowledge of the village's legends, passed down through generations. "Ah, Amina Juma," she said softly, her voice a gentle croon. "What brings you to the shrine today?" "Seeking secrets, I see." "Yes, Mama Lesedi," Amina replied, curiosity bubbling within her. "We want to understand what shadows Rod might be referring to. The drought is not our only struggle. What do these stories tell us?" Mama Lesedi's eyes shimmered with unspoken wisdom, as if she were assessing the weight of their inquiry. "Sometimes, the heaviest burdens are those that sink beneath the surface. Every tale is a thread binding our past and present." "What do you seek to fix?" Amina pondered. "We seek to understand the fears that hold us back. The drought cannot be healed until we confront the deepest shadows we hide from each other. Ah, the storyteller nodded, the ghost of a smile passing across her weathered face. Then you must listen closely. There was a time when a great flood swept through the village. As it is said, the river turned against its own kin. People were afraid to voice their discontent, and in doing so, it festered. The elders claimed it was punishment from the spirits for unspoken betrayals and fears that grew like weeds. I believe the flood was just a reflection of their inner turmoil, Juma remarked, recalling his lessons in resilience. The drought we face now may be a similar consequence. But what if we confront these fears? Mama Lesedi considered this, her gaze distant, as if peering into the fabric of time. To face the past, you must not only acknowledge it but also the communal heart that binds you all. There once was a family split by deception. Hidden grudges that flourished until they consumed the kinship forged by love. Amina felt her heartbeat quicken. But it is possible to mend those bonds, to unearth those secrets? Yes, child. But it requires courage and authenticity, Mama Lesedi replied gently, to confront buried shadows, even when they claw to rise. Something flickered within Amina. She understood now that the community's fears were interconnected, their stories intertwined like roots of a mighty tree. It was a tangled web, each strand representing a secret waiting to be unveiled. Then what can we do? Amina questioned, a budding hope raising her spirit. We need to begin that conversation. Start by speaking to those who carry these burdens, Mama Lesedi suggested. Each story brings you closer to understanding the shadows. To heal, you must reveal. Their eyes brightened with understanding. As they prepared to descend from the shrine, Mama Lesedi's voice drifted behind them. Remember, the past can inform the future, but only if you dare to confront it. With her words etched in their hearts, Amina and Juma exchanged determined glances. They were ready for the battle ahead. The shadows awaited them, but collectively, they would pull back the curtain and unite their truths. Only then could the rains wash away their fears and replenish the soil that had borne their history. As they left the shrine, Amina could feel the currents shifting, both within the village and within herself. Today marked the genesis of their journey, but had they only scratched the surface of the storm to come? Only time would reveal what secrets lay hidden, and whether they could endure the inevitable tempest of revelation. Tales of old, shadows of today. The following days saw Amina and Juma engulfed in various conversations with villagers, as they bravely sought to unveil the buried secrets lurking in the hearts of their community. With each encounter, they wove their challenge closer to the threads of collective experience, a tapestry alive with the colors of truth. Under the watchful gaze of the sun, the village came together at the communal meeting place, a large flat rock surrounded by vibrant flowers. Here, elders would share stories and impart wisdom, their voices resonating through ages of memories. Amina recognized her father sitting at the edge, eyes insightful yet heavy. She hoped to draw him into their endeavor. They needed to see shadows as part of their shared journey. As the villagers gathered, the sun warmed their spirits. Amina stepped to the forefront, heart pounding with anticipation. Thank you everyone for coming. We've listened and learned about our past, and we want to honor it by acknowledging the shadows within us, she began, her voice steady. Jumar added, this drought isn't just a physical battle, it grows from the fears and secrets we've harbored for too long. We want to lift the veil and heal together. Murmurs of agreement welled up in the crowd, mixed with echoes of hesitation. Amina moved forward, drawing in the collective gaze. I lost my husband. I feared speaking up about our challenges after his passing, she revealed, her voice trembling slightly as vulnerable tears glistened in her eyes. I thought that by not sharing my grief, I could protect our family. But I was wrong. The admission hung heavy in the air, rippling through those who listened. Mama Wanjiku nodded, her wisdom shining through. We are more than individuals encased within walls of pain. Together, we can face the storm and break those walls down. Amina felt the pulse of possibility surging. What if we voice our struggles together? An open circle to share our thoughts, a place to lay our shadows bare, just as Rod has shown us. The idea ignited a spark, drawing the villagers in. Heads nodded slowly, faces lighting cautiously with hope. Encouragement surged, compelling one after another to share their stories, a symphony of burdens flooding forth. An elderly man rose, hands trembling but resolute. I have hidden my fear of losing our culture, worried our children would abandon our ways. It haunts me. I've avoided my grandchildren for fear of rejection. Another joined, his voice a whisper but deeply resonant. I've always felt inadequate as a provider, unable to give my family what they need this drought to end. I've distanced myself from the community, believing isolation would spare my family embarrassment for my failures. Amina noticed that with every confession, the weight of despair lightened. Shadows were being shed, unbridled laughter interwoven with sadness, creating an intimate tapestry of vulnerability. The collective empathy rippled through them, a web binding them together, where once there had only been separation. As dusk fell and the colors of the sky deepened, a father of three stood, breaking through his own reticence. This village has been our haven, yet I fear I've failed in my duties. I lied to my children, allowing them to believe the drought was a message from the spirits of our ancestors. I didn't want them to think we'd brought this upon ourselves. His confession struck a chord, a realization threading through the crowd. They all shared that responsibility of truth, that vulnerability could empower rather than frighten. Amina's heart swelled as she turned to the gathering. This flood of secrets is what divides us. Together we can reconcile our fears with understanding. Acceptance will help us reclaim our identity, and the rains will follow when we unite. Exchanging glances, hope sparked among the villagers. Mama Wanjiku spoke again, her tone reassuring. There's power in shared burdens. Together, we can weather this storm. And they did. Conversations flowed effortlessly long into the evening, laughter mingling with tears as confessions echoed amid the fading light. Secrets unraveling and fears unveiled carved pathways through which the villagers began to reclaim their strength. As the stars twinkled above, Amina felt an unshakable magic swathe around her. This was the moment she had envisioned, a community linked by shared struggles, breathing in hope and resilience as they began to mend what was long fractured. Yet amid the warmth, a heavier thought steadily brewed in Amina's mind. They had shared their truths, unlocking a cascade of understanding. But what further revelations awaited them? Would their newfound courage be enough to summon Rod's power and with it, healing rains? Determined to find out, Amina felt her resolve deepen as she prepared in anticipation of what had yet to unfold in their journey of battling inner shadows and reclaiming their collective essence. The heart of Ngoya beat fiercely, and she understood, together, they were bound to face whatever lay ahead. The storm within. The next day dawned with a peculiar stillness, as if the earth held its breath in the aftermath of yesterday's revelations. Amina awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside her window, yet a sense of anticipation clung to the air, making her pulse race. She felt the morning sun warm her skin, mingling fear with an electric thrill. Now that the shadows had been unveiled, the village awaited the next move in their nascent journey. Amina, Juma, and Abina gathered by the well, exchanging whispers filled with excitement and apprehension. "Today feels different," Juma remarked, breaking the silence. "It's as if all that was hidden is now demanding to be seen." "Yes, and it will take strength to face that," Abina replied, her expression resolute. "We must not forget that every shadow has its power, which can easily overwhelm if we become complacent." With a shared understanding, they formed a plan to visit the sacred grove once more, hoping for a deeper connection to Rod. "If we truly wish to heal, perhaps it's time we invite him to join us," Amina suggested. "We can ask for guidance, for clarity." As they made their way through the winding paths of the village, footfalls light yet purposeful, Amina felt the weight of the members' secrets just behind them, their fears following like shades at twilight. Reaching the grove, she paused beneath the ancient trees, inhaling the vibrant scents of the wild flora. "Rod," Amina called softly into the sacred space, hoping the words would echo through the unseen realms, "We seek your wisdom. We have faced our fears and shared our truths. We aim to heal and find the rains." Moments stretched into eternity, the grove holding its breath. Then a rustling behind the trees, an expressionless figure emerging. Rod shimmered into existence, tall and mesmerizing, eyes glinting with ancient knowledge. "You've called upon the winds of change," he said, his voice rich, echoing with the resonance of the earth. "We shared our truths," Amina exclaimed, her voice steadied by determination. "But we need your guidance on how to move forward." Rod regarded them, a glimmer of approval in his gaze. "In facing the storm, you've illuminated the shadows. But truth alone cannot summon the rain. It takes action, conversion of words into deeds. You must venture into the memories entwined in this land, where the past lingers unseen. What do you mean? Juma asked, perplexed. Bring your burdens here, write them upon this earth, and allow the soil to drink them in. It's the very spirit of this land you must feed, to stir the connection hidden below the surface, Rod replied, gesturing toward the sacred soil beneath the ancient trees. Amina felt a thrill race through her veins, igniting a spark. You mean we must literally express our burdens into the land? Yes. Rekindle that connection, let the land feel your sincerity. Only then will nature respond, and unity be achieved. Letting rain fall upon you, restoring balance to your lives, Rod affirmed. Amina shifted, determination in her eyes. What if we dig? We can bury our fears, our struggles. Let's perform this ritual together. With Rod's guidance, the villagers returned to the shaded grove, drawn by an unseen current of energy that flowed between them. They wielded shovels and spades, excitement tempered with reverence, as they created a circle around the sturdy old baobab tree. With each handful of dirt, Amina spoke her fear aloud. I fear my voice may not be strong enough, she admitted, releasing the clump of soil into the circle. Juma followed suit. I fear disappointment, to fail those I hold dear. As they continued, Amina found a voice for her vulnerability. I fear that my grief will overwhelm me, that it will block out the love I desire to share with my children. One by one, each villager positioned themselves, sharing their burdens while burying them into the earth, a collective catharsis unfolding. As dusk settled, the groves became vibrant with confessions, each shadow cast into the ground, an ink on the parchment of the land itself. A shared moment of silence hung as they gazed down at their combined efforts. But beneath the blanket of peace, a shift formed, a rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, shaking the leaves with the promise of something potent and hidden. Let us unite our voices now, Rod urged, glancing toward the sky where dark clouds began to gather. Amina's heart raced in sync with the foreboding echoes rolling through the trees. Together, we reclaim this space. Let our unity call forth the rains. The villagers joined in unison, their voices rising harmoniously into the air. Amina felt a pulse of energy connecting them, weaving each soul together into a tapestry of sound that spiraled upward towards the storm-laden sky. Shouting their truths and desires, the land beneath their feet began to stir in response. Then the wind shifted, swirling around them, a vibrant dance that carried their collective fears into the unseen realm. The sky darkened further, clouds embracing the horizon, hinting at the tempest that loomed ahead. Let your voices rise higher. Rod encouraged, moving among the villagers, infusing them with ancient strength. This is the moment of potential. Call upon what you seek. With renewed fervor, they sang louder, hearts synchronizing with the thunder, every fear now transformed into purpose that crackled with life. As they continued, a distant rumble morphed into a resonant roar. It was a storm brewing at the edge of existence, weaving its power through the earth. As the skies erupted, droplets began to fall, rewarding their unified declaration, a lavish downpour that mingled with their gratitude, nourishing the very soil that held their secrets. Amina laughed, tears mixing with the rain, embracing the sweet reunion of earth and sky, the cleansing of their heartaches and fears. In that moment, Amina knew they had taken a monumental step toward healing, but unseen storms of change lurked just beyond the horizon. Each drop of rain felt like an invigorating promise of rebirth, something they could hold onto tightly. The lesson continued to unfold within nature's embrace, and together as one resilient community, they would stand prepared to face what was still hidden beneath the surface. Rebirth in the rain. The rains poured over Ngoya village like a vibrant blessing, drenching every cracked inch of earth. Amina danced beneath the downpour, her laughter a clear, joyous melody swallowed by the tumult of water around her. Each droplet felt like a release, a cleansing of long-held fears and burdens. Around her, villagers erupted with joy. Adults and children alike raced into the downpour, abandoning their concerns as they rejoiced in the life-giving embrace of the rains. Laughter and shouts melded into a symphony of relief, radiating warmth against the backdrop of stormy skies. Amina felt invigorated, her spirit soaring on the wings of newfound unity. The song of the village had transformed from one of despair to one of hope. Come Juma, she called out, pulling him into the joyous whirlpool of their friends. But as she lost herself in the exhilaration of the moment, she couldn't shake a nagging sense of anticipation remnant from Rod's warning. Their shadows had been revealed, but what else had they yet to uncover? What healing was still to come? Amidst the ecstatic celebration, she glanced around for Rod, yearning for his wisdom once more. Woven through the music of the rain were hints of uncertainty, wisps of old fears still lingering just out of sight. Later, the villagers gathered beneath a large shelter formed by interwoven branches, remnants of a once bustling hearth that had fallen silent under the weight of grief and drought. Some had begun to prepare food, while others still sported soaked clothing, scraping mud from their feet into solid muddy clumps. As energy buzzed through them, Amina noticed some villagers sharing quieter conversations. Amina sat on the verge of the circle, her gaze lost in contemplation, wiping rain-slicked hair from her face with a slow motion. Juma leaned closer to Amina, sensing her concern. Something's bothering her. After all that emotion, I wonder if this downpour has only revealed more. Perhaps we should check on her, Amina suggested, rising to her feet. The rain has started a cleansing, but digging deeper may need more effort. As they approached Amina spoke softly. Amina, your strength stood out today in the storm. How are you feeling now? Amina turned her gaze, glimmering with hidden uncertainty. It felt liberating to share my fears. But I find myself caught in a whirlwind of thoughts. I'm afraid of losing my voice again amid such collective celebrations. What if the storms of truth are also storms of chaos? Her trepidation felt palpable, vibrating between them. You're not alone, Juma reassured her. This is about facing what comes next, even if it's difficult. That's what we've learned. But my truths feel like burdens still. Amina's voice trembled, facing them with introspection embedded within her words. Thinking of my husband, I fear the pain may rise again, overshadowing everything. Amina reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. That's okay. Pain and joy can coexist. You still possess the strength to honor both. As Amina considered her words, an adventurous spirit flickered in her eyes. When I spoke today, I felt my heart breaking and healing all at once. The storm brought forth what I thought I could never verbalize. But it's a continuous journey, Amina replied, her enthusiasm growing. Perhaps we can create a space for sharing, an ongoing circle where we talk about everything, fears, grief, and hope. This is not a one-time event. We need to sustain communication to weather any storms ahead. Yes. Let's build those connections, Juma added, his excitement bubbling to the surface. This can be a platform for collective healing through regular gatherings, a way to check on one another long after the rain has passed. Sparks of inspiration filled Amina's eyes as she exclaimed, yes. We'll nourish one another like the rains nourish the earth. We can build new rituals, crafting our journey, ensuring that voices are not silenced in the joys of unity. And just like that, the three friends crafted an unbreakable bond, interlacing dreams that mirrored the vibrant possibilities ahead. Leaving Amina, they moved back toward the larger group, where the air hummed with possibilities, the conversations brimming with undisclosed hopes. Friends, we invite you to a new beginning. Amina called out, raising her voice above the gentle patter of the rain. This storm has revealed the power of our truths, but let's not let it vanish with the sunlight. While we celebrate this glorious rain, let us cultivate an ongoing space for sharing. The villagers, pulled into the collective energy of her passion, turned their attention to Amina, intrigue lighting their eyes. Join us to explore a circle of truth every week. There we can share our fears, joys, and everything in between. Let us continue the work we've embarked upon. Amina, Juma, and others rallied around her, embracing the idea with enthusiasm. The air buzzed with agreement as murmured phrases of solidarity and hope wrapped around them. As the rain continued to fall, a cocoon of connection formed in an intricate dance, shielding them from the external world beyond. But amidst the growing excitement, Amina couldn't shake the feeling that the storms rising within each villager were not yet quelled. In pursuing liberation, could they risk awakening even deeper shadows yet to be faced together? The horizon swirled with potential and uncertainty, and as night descended upon them, she realized they had taken incredible leaps, yet the journey had only just begun. Would their bonds hold firm when confronted by the unexamined depths of their hearts? With this unyielding question echoing in her mind, Amina surrendered to the night, trust slowly blooming within her, an offering to the process that lay ahead. Ripples of reflection. The following week unfolded in a whirlwind of anticipation as the villagers embraced Amina's idea for the sharing circle. The rain had subsided but left the earth refreshed. A vibrant green emerged from the mud, an embodiment of the hope that now twinkled in every villager's eyes. Amina awoke early the next morning, the aroma of earthy dew wafting through her window as sunlight leaked through wispy clouds. Today was the day they'd gather in their circle for the first time. Excitement bubbled within her, but alongside it coiled a thread of apprehension. Would everyone truly show up? Would they bare their souls again? As she prepared for the day's gathering, her thoughts wandered to what had transpired the week before. The villagers had become interwoven in an intricate network of understanding and vulnerability, but what awaited them now? When Amina, along with Juma and Abina, made their way to the central gathering place, they found the villagers already assembling, anticipation dancing in the air like fireflies. A sense of camaraderie enveloped them as faces reflected both old scars and budding resilience. "Mama Wanjiku," Amina called out, spotting the elder. "I'm thrilled everyone came today." Mama Wanjiku smiled, her eyes twinkling with pride. "I've seen the power of shared stories. It can mend more than just hearts. It revives the spirit." As the circle formed, Amina felt electrified. She motioned for everyone to gather closely, their hearts drawn into a communal embrace. "Welcome, my friends. We've come together as a response to the storms we've faced. This is a space of vulnerability, a journey to empower one another. Sharing is a potent form of connection. You don't have to share everything, but I encourage you to voice what's heavy on your heart. Let today be a celebration of our courage." Applause and murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. The first to speak was Juma, who stood and took a deep breath. "Today feels like a rebirth. The storms have transformed us and ushered in abundant rains. But it's equally important to acknowledge the remnants of hardship." He paused and shared his thoughts on overcoming doubt and inadequacy as a provider, emphasizing how vulnerability elevated not just himself but all those gathered. "I realized that by sharing my struggles, we can inspire one another to cultivate courage within and, ultimately, to face whatever lies ahead." Amina watched the villagers nodding, absorbed in their reflections. This was precisely what they had aimed for. A moment of authenticity and sincerity, laying bare their truths in hopes of reconciliation. Next, it was Abina's turn. "I come to this circle not only as a mother grieving my husband but as a woman discovering her strength. I felt lost in my sorrow, but I want my children to know they can speak their truth without fear." Her voice trembled, yet it was imbued with power. "Today, I want to acknowledge that grief doesn't lessen love, it transforms it. The rain renewed me, reminding me that joy and pain can coexist." The crowd exhaled in unison as Abina finished, palpable healing weaving through the air. The next to speak was an older woman, her face lined with years of labor and wisdom. "I've harbored a long-held anger towards the spirits for taking loved ones from me. This anger kept me in darkness, isolating me from all that I hold dear." She paused, eyes glistening with tears. "I'm grateful for this space to express what I've felt, but I also want to learn forgiveness." A fidgeting child, emboldened by the resonance of truth around him, raised his small hand and connected with the crowd. "I'm afraid of the dark," he admitted, his voice small yet brave. "It feels like shadows are hiding things I can't understand, but last week's storm made me feel brave. I want to be a strong person when I grow up." Cheering erupted, the villagers' hearts swelling for the child's bravery. Amina felt hope blossom anew, as if they were stitching together invisible threads of understanding amidst life's tangled narratives. As more individuals shared their stories, Amina noticed doubts dispelling in the circle. Shadows once heavy became lighter with every admission and every thread interwoven. The act of vulnerability amalgamated their hearts differently. Collective pain birthed hope, and joy emerged from sorrow. Yet even as she relished in the profound connections being created, uncertainty loomed in Amina's thoughts. How deep into these emotions would the villagers be willing to go? Would they continue to embrace even it when darkness threatened to emerge? As the circle drew to a close, Amina felt the swell of shared strength around her. "Thank you for sharing your stories, your shadows, and your light. Today is a testament to our resilience. Together, we can face whatever storms may come. As we continue to cultivate these conversations, we tend to our hearts and contribute to the beauty of our village. As villagers exchanged hugs and quiet expressions of gratitude, Amina stood back, savoring this moment of connection. But in the embrace of warmth and love, she felt shadows still lurking in the corners of their souls, remnants of grief and uncertainty. In the depths of her heart, Amina intuitively understood that the circle would be a continuous journey, a long, daunting trek toward the truths buried deep within. As exciting as these steps had been, they may also reveal inner storms lying in wait, testing this newfound solidarity. Yet, she had faith in their bond, and as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting crimson hues across the village, Amina felt herself draw strength from that certainty, ready to face the unknown alongside her community. The journey was far from finished. Together, they would strive through ripples of reflection that could reshape their hearts, rekindle connections, and cultivate a deeper understanding of who they were meant to be. Shadows unveiled. As Amina settled into her daily routine, the vibrant energy swirling after the inaugural sharing circle lingered like the taste of sweet fruit. The villagers embraced a newfound sense of solidarity, and she could feel the confidence growing among them. Yet, beneath the surface, hints of buried shadows remained, waiting for the right moment to unfurl their secrets. Weeks passed, and the rain continued to nourish the earth, yet Amina grew restless. The vibrant crops began to blossom, but her heart ached with unresolved questions. She often caught herself pondering their earlier discussions in the circle, wondering how many more layers existed beneath their confessions. On a quiet evening, she found herself wandering the sacred grove. The tranquility enveloped her, a welcome escape from the weight of unquiring emotions. The earth felt alive, pulsing underfoot with an ancient rhythm. Kneeling beneath the mighty baobab, she closed her eyes and breathed deeply, yearning for clarity and connection. "Rod," she whispered softly, seeking the spirit's presence. "As we've shared our truths, shadows still linger. Help us uncover those hidden corners that lie dark within our village." As if summoned by her plea, a rustling sound emerged from the thicket, and Rod stepped into the clearing, the iridescent glimmer of his form reflecting the fading light. "You call upon the winds of change, Amina?" he asked, his voice rich, intertwining with the hum of the grove. "Yes," she replied, her heart racing. "We've lifted many shadows already, but I feel there are deeper stories that remain untold. What do we need to confront to achieve complete healing?" Rod's gaze sharpened. "Each shadow has its own pulse, its own tale. They intertwine with the essence of your village, revealing fears that go beyond individual burdens. To unearth them, you must embrace what is often hidden, the roots of your history." "The roots of our history?" Amina echoed, a sense of weight settling on her heart. "How do we delve into our past?" "By understanding branches long since severed, by acknowledging the threads spun together, even in their twisted forms," Rod replied, gesturing to the ancient trees surrounding them. "Such revelations often bring discomfort, but they are essential to the fullness of healing." Determined to rummage through these shadows, Amina nodded resolutely. She knew that bringing forth deeper truths would take courage, and she felt compelled to share this newly ignited thought with her friends. As she returned to the village, a rippling sense of anticipation filled her chest. Gathering in the evening for the sharing circle, Amina welcomed everyone warmly. "Tonight, let's reflect on the shadows we've unveiled thus far. But I believe it's time to dig deeper, to confront the roots of our history." Curiosity lit up the villagers' faces, yet an undercurrent of apprehension weaved through the gathering. Amina sensed the energy shift as villagers exchanged glances, unsure of what lay ahead. "What do you mean?" asked Juma, leaning forward. "Our previous gatherings have been profound, but are we ready to explore more painful memories? What if it stirs up discomfort?" Amina took a deep breath. "I know it will be hard, but true healing requires us to expose the deepest shadows. These roots are intertwined with who we are as a community." Mama Wanjiku rose, her voice resonating through the circle. "Amina's right. History forms the foundation of our village, and we cannot build something new if we do not acknowledge the past. Sometimes the fiercest storms come from roots left untended." A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd, both anxious and contemplative. Amina felt the pulse of apprehension climb, but encouraged everyone to confront the lingering fears. Then Amina spoke up, her voice steady. "If we need to unveil what has been hidden, then I, too, am willing to share. My husband was named Chemo. He carried great burdens and pain. As two souls bound by love, he once revealed a family secret, something that has colored my grief and my fear for our children's futures." The circle hushed, drawn closer by her vulnerability, eyes widening in anticipation. "He told me," she continued, "that our lineage has long been haunted by a history of unresolved resentment toward a neighboring village. Long ago, Chemo's ancestors held grudges and conflicts that seeped into our lineage, as if the shadows from then reached through time. I feared that the cycles of grief and chaos may ensnare our children, even when I promised to break that chain." The silence deepened as the villagers absorbed her confession, weaving together histories that linked their sentiments to those unspoken grievances. "What if these past shadows have left their imprint upon us?" Amina mused, captivated by Abina's bravery. "What if lingering pain divided us even further?" A murmur of agreement rippled through the group, acknowledging that their shadows echoed further than mere personal struggles. Bonds began to intertwine with the shadows left unresolved across generations. Jumar added, "I wonder if this unfathomable rift with the neighboring village stems from something we've avoided discussing. If we dare to embrace mutual understanding and confront those past grievances, perhaps we can rewrite our roots." The gathering ignited with fervor as villagers began to share their own histories, the hurts that had been passed down through generations, the grudges that had taken root and festered throughout the years. Fears and long-held resentments spilled forth, and the air bristled with emotion. Voices intertwined as they laid bare their past, acknowledging the burdens they'd inherited, much like the land that still bore scars from the storms of yesteryear. Rod watched silently from the shadows, the resonance of their unfolding truths coiling around the gathering, promising a revelation yet unseen. Amina sensed the ground beneath them shifted as the circle drew tighter, strengthening with each shared story. Here they stood, intertwined by shadows unveiled, a living testament to resilience. They were weaving a communal narrative that would ground their healing journey, a tapestry fortified by memories both bitter and sweet. As the evening deepened, Amina could almost feel the currents of history weaving through them, binding them to the very essence of their land. The roots they dared to uncover tonight might bring forth even more storms, but she believed with every fiber of her being that with each shadow acknowledged, they would reclaim not only their healing but also the power to rewrite their community's legacy. Tangled roots. The journey through shadows had awakened the villagers in unexpected ways. Amina sensed a seismic shift in the atmosphere as stories flowed, raw vulnerabilities laid bare. Yet the echoes of their past resonated with an unsettling vigor, threatening to repattern their lives. As the evening progressed, conversations became charged with the gravity of unspoken conflicts long buried. The air buzzed with emotions as tales entwined and narratives collided. Amina lingered on the similarities in each story, the fear of disconnection, the resonance of inherited pain, and the wisdom now beginning to unfurl. Each villager felt compelled to share how history sculpted their identities, like roots weaving through the earthy loam, fragile but necessary. They braved the depth of their lineage, tracing the paths that had led them to this point, recognizing the ancestral legacies they carried. Amina stood amidst the growing tide of voices, recently unburdened, determined to ensure that the shadows of the past were not seen as weights but rather as lessons. "Let us not forget strength comes from knowing our history," she proclaimed, her voice steady. "We must transition from embers of resentment to fuel for our growth. The land we stand on carries remnants of our ancestors, but it also holds the promise of renewal." A swell of agreement broke out among the villagers. Bolstered by her words, they knew they needed to redefine their relationship with the neighboring village, confront the unacknowledged grievances festering in the soil. "Perhaps communication can mend the rift," another villager suggested. "If we extend our hands, it might lead to mutual healing." As they spoke, Amina felt the weight of uncertainty and fear interwoven with hopefulness. "We should invite them for a gathering, a chance to share our truths," she declared, her conviction unwavering. "Just as we have encountered our shadows, we can collectively face this legacy and rewrite our story." Excitement tinged with trepidation rippled through the group, but it was Juma who stepped forward, his face lined with determination. "If we choose to approach the neighboring village, we should prepare for a genuine conversation. This is not just about peace, it's about accountability." More murmurs followed, voices echoing confidence and resolve. Yet Amina could still sense hesitations lurking beneath the surface. The shadows of past grievances clung tenaciously, refusing to release their grip easily. As conversations progressed, Amina considered the weight of what lay ahead. It wouldn't merely be a discussion of forgiveness, it would require embracing empathy, a battle of the heart, to delve deeper into perspectives that could feel intractable. "We can prepare a meaningful ceremony," Mama Wanjiku suggested, her voice nurturing yet strong. "An opportunity for connection, where both sides can share and confront their shadows." Nodding in agreement, Amina sought to embrace this plan. "We can stand united as a village to acknowledge the pain we've carried, but also to celebrate the possibility of growth. Together, we can unearth what divides us and plant seeds of togetherness that produce healing." With a newfound lightness in their hearts, plans began to take shape. They brainstormed symbols of unity. Woven baskets filled with clay pots to represent their burdens, adorned with colorful ribbons to signify hope, and a ceremonial fire to illuminate their gathering and ignite discussions that had been held captive for too long. As the sun rose on the next day, vibrant with promise, Amina couldn't shake the fear tightening in her chest. Would their neighbors be willing to confront their shadows? Would this connection foster understanding, or would it unearth deeper divisions? In the days leading up to the gathering, Amina and the villagers worked tirelessly to prepare, their spirits buoyed by daring hope. The air thrummed with anticipation, laughter mixing with nervous energy as they intricately fashioned ceremonial baskets adorned with vibrant patterns, each stitch infused with intention and care. But deep within her, Amina felt the echoes of uncertainty. To face their neighbors would expose raw wounds, meanings long misconstrued, and fears left too long unexplored. Were they ready to embrace those vulnerabilities? On the eve of their gathering, she sought solace in the sacred grove once more. Kneeling beneath the ancient trees, she closed her eyes and breathed into the space around her. "Rod," she whispered, "reveal to me the strength needed to guide us through this trial." In the silence that followed, Rod appeared once more, the same enigmatic gaze watching her intently. "You call upon clarity even amid uncertainty, Amina. Courage does not emerge from absence of fear, but rather from the willingness to embrace it." His words resonated deeply, and Amina opened her eyes to perceive the grove anew, understanding each tree cradled its share of shadows while also embodying resilience through growth. "Remember," Rod continued, "there is power within vulnerability. It is a bridge, a pathway to understanding. To untangle those roots means pulling forth both light and shadow." As dawn broke, Amina emerged from the grove with determination burning in her heart. The shadows mirrored her own uncertainties, but now she knew she possessed the courage necessary to navigate the treacherous landscapes ahead. With each step back to the village, she felt the hearts of her community converge with hers, hopeful roots intertwining, a powerful testament to the strength within them all. Tomorrow would be the real test, one that could weave their histories together or risk unleashing chaos. But having embraced their intertwined roots through open dialogue, perhaps they could rewrite their story and kindle a new beginning, one marked by resilience, understanding, and empathy. The gathering storm. The day of the gathering dawned with an electric energy crackling through Ngoya village. Sunlight streamed through the trees, enhancing the vibrant decorations that adorned the sacred space prepared for this momentous occasion. Amina felt both excitement and trepidation as she glanced around at her neighbors, who had gathered to confront their intertwined histories. As they approached the clearing, the villagers carried woven baskets brimming with clay pots, each pot symbolizing their shared burdens. The air was laden with anticipation, as if nature itself was holding its breath alongside them. "Are you ready?" Juma asked, stepping beside Amina. His eyes reflected his own uncertainties, yet there was a firmness to his stance. "I think so," she replied, forcing a smile. "It's time to embrace the shadows we've faced and those we will confront together." They arrived at the clearing, where a large ceremonial fire awaited them, its flickering flames promising warmth and illumination. As the villagers took their places in a circle, Amina surveyed the group, noticing the blend of excitement and nervousness etched across their faces. Mama Wanjiku stepped forward, her presence commanding yet comforting. "Welcome, friends, family, and neighbors from afar. Today is not only about reconciling with our past, but also about planting seeds of togetherness as we confront our shadows." The murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. From the other side of the clearing, the neighboring villagers began to arrive. wary at first, but gradually emboldened by the sight of their counterparts, who shared similar burdens. Amina took a step forward, clutching a woven basket adorned with bright ribbons. Today, we acknowledge the journey both our villages have taken, the grievances passed down through generations. When we unearth the roots of our sorrow, it is not just our pain, it is a tapestry of shared history. Amina watched as each neighbor stepped forward, carrying baskets of their own, while glancing cautiously at the Ngoya villagers. Would this joining of hands cultivate understanding, or would old grievances rise to the surface like unruly weeds? Let's begin by sharing what binds us to the past, Amina proposed, her voice steady. She gestured to her own basket, cradling it delicately. This basket contains my clay pot, which symbolizes my fear of losing our connection to one another. I fear that if we do not confront our shadows, we may suffocate beneath unacknowledged resentment. As she laid her pot upon the earth, she felt the air shift around her. The neighboring villagers mirrored her actions, the air thickening with an unexpected mixture of tension and anticipation. One of them, a woman named Lila, stepped hesitantly forward. "I stand here with a burden of my own," Lila began, her voice wavering yet clear. "For too long, our village carried resentment towards yours, believing past grievances justified our anger. I grew up hearing tales of conflicts and losses, yet I have seen these shadows reflected in my own family." Her bold vulnerability ignited courage in others, and one by one, villagers began to share their fears, laying them before the sacred fire. They weaved a tapestry of intertwined histories. Tales of sorrow, love, loss, and hope began to carve pathways for new understanding. As they painted their shared narratives, Amina noticed a shift occurring within the clearing. A blossoming sense of empathy as they delved deeper into the roots that had bound them. Voices melded together, confessing long-held wounds while acknowledging resilience within their unity. But soon, the clouds overhead began to darken. A rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, reminding them of the storm that loomed just outside their ceremony. A collective anxiety swept through the gathering, but it wasn't enough to extinguish the fire they had kindled with their truths. Mama Wanjiku held up her hands, calling for calm. "We are unearthing our history, and storms bring cleansing. We can embrace both the shadows and the winds of change." "Mama Wanjiku is right," Amina said, allowing conviction to shine in her voice. "Just as the rains nourish the earth, our ability to confront and share our shadows will nurture our spirits. Together, let's honor both sides of our history, offering space for healing." This declaration reignited the energy within the gathering. They took turns laying their clay pots down, each confession amplifying the warmth radiating from the ceremonial fire, the flames crackling like the intensity of their truths. The storm clouds gradually unfurled, the first drops of rain cascading down like luminous blessings upon the earth. The gentle patter quickly escalated, transforming into a steady rhythm, marrying the sounds of sincere sharing with nature's own cleansing. As the villagers continued to speak, their voices complemented the storm, flickering flames dancing in harmony with the downpour. Amina felt empowered by the communal catharsis unfolding. They were breaking barriers, creating an opportunity for understanding and healing that transcended past grievances. But even amid their breakthrough, Amina sensed threads of uncertainty snapping to the forefront once more. Would their willingness to embrace each other's histories endure against the potential tempest? Would they brave the emotional squall that threatened to unfold, exposing deeper raw wounds beneath their stories? As they stood within the embrace of the rain, Amina caught a glimpse of Rod hovering nearby, his luminous figure radiant with purpose. She met his gaze, silently pleading for guidance. Rod's demeanor was reassuring. "You have summoned the courage to illuminate the shadows, my dear Amina. Embrace this moment. Real change often births discomfort. Press onward with empathy, and transform the storms into blessings." Rising winds caressed her face, weaving through the fabric of their gathering, wrapping each soul in the promise of unity. Amid the tempest of emotion and rain, they would forge their identities anew. Together, they would brave the gathering storm, unearthing the roots that bound them as they stepped forward into a shared future. As Amina looked around at her community, she realized, the path ahead promised both challenges and triumphs, yet they were now stronger together, fiercely intertwined not only by roots but also by the sacred act of deeply honoring their shared truths. Harvest of Hope. The rain continued to fall in a soothing rhythm, washing over the villagers gathered beneath the protective canopy of branches. Amina felt a collective pulse of energy surrounding them, a sense of empowerment blooming as stories unfolded and vulnerabilities connected them deeper than ever before. The storm, which had threatened to tear them apart, now felt like a cleansing embrace, washing away the remnants of old grievances and nurturing a bond that had long been neglected. As she stood amidst the whirlwind of emotions, Amina knew the tides of change were irrevocably shifting. "Today marks the beginning of our transformation," Mama Wanjiku announced, her voice carrying strength over the thrumming of rain. "We've unearthed shadows, but we have also recognized the light that flows through our connections. It's time for us to plant seeds of hope and cultivate understanding." The villagers nodded in agreement, faces aglow with determination. As they placed their clay pots around the ceremonial fire, colors and patterns from both sides harmonized, creating a vivid representation of their intertwined histories. Amina braced herself, melding her voice into the collective declaration. "We stand united to embrace the stories that have shaped us." Each shadow we released was a hidden lesson, a bridge towards a more profound understanding of one another, Amina declared, her heart the pulsing center of a blossoming community. The rain began to lighten, gentle drops offering a rhythmic backdrop to their discussions. The air felt alive with possibilities, the storm accommodating an emotional catharsis as shared burdens were acknowledged and accepted. Next, Lila stepped forward from the neighboring village, her heart swelling with newfound courage. "As we share our stories, let us also celebrate our strengths. Together, we can create a future that honors our past while fostering harmony between our villages." With her words, the tension in the air began to dissipate, replaced by a shared excitement for what lay ahead. The two villages had come together, realizing their histories were not merely a series of grievances but rather stories woven into a shared tapestry. Amina approached the ceremonial flame, allowing the warmth to envelop her. "Let's create a ritual to honor our healing journey. We can establish a communal gathering each season, where we celebrate the harvest of our shared hopes and acknowledge the lessons learned as we continue to grow." Gasps of awe swept through the crowd, exchanging glances rich with potential. The idea of maintaining this momentum excited everyone, enriching their bond and allowing their truths to flourish. "Let's plan a great feast to commemorate this day. We'll celebrate our unity through food, dance, and friendship," Amina added, her voice vibrant with enthusiasm. "Yes. I will bring my special dishes, and we can share recipes. Let our flavors merge in celebration," another villager chimed in. A sense of purpose ignited among them, each person willing to contribute and share in the joyous occasion. As they discussed plans for their feast, Amina felt a sense of realization flood through her. They were no longer just villagers separated by boundaries. They were a true community, intertwined, informed, and forged anew. And then a voice of quiet authority rose amid the chatter. It was one of the elder men, his face weathered yet wise. "We must also carry forth the memories of those lost to the storms. Today, we celebrate life and speak their names, those who were affected by our divisions." Silence enveloped the gathering once again, and one by one, they began to name those they had lost. Family members torn apart by the storms of life and unheeded grievances. Each name added to their collective memory, each spoken word serving as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of embracing connection. The raindrops slowed to a soft drizzle as villagers hugged and clasped hands, unified in this moment of remembrance. Amina's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, a manifestation of profound love that palpitated through all of them. They were facing the past while looking toward a shared future, a true testament to the strength of vulnerability. As the gathering began to disperse, the storm clouds dispersed entirely, leaving behind a canopy of brilliant blue skies. The sun streamed down, transforming the gathering into a tapestry of brilliant colors, laughter and greetings mixing with the kaleidoscope of nature surrounding them. A sense of exhilaration gripped Amina. She felt released from the burdens that had often weighed heavy on her heart. The shadows, once a source of fear, had now forged a collective resilience that empowered them to grow together. The road ahead would be built from understanding, celebration, and acknowledgement of one another's stories. Hand in hand, Amina, Juma, Abina, and their fellow villagers smiled at the horizon bathed in golden light, ready to step into the renewed future as a single, vibrant community. They had harvested the fruits of their courageous vulnerability, and with seeds of hope now firmly planted, they could look toward the horizon with faith and strength, embracing the adventures still to come. Together, they would weave a new legacy, one rich in connections, illuminated by understanding and unity, forever nestled within the stories of their intertwined roots. As Amina turned away from the festivities to reflect on the journey they had taken, she understood that this was only the beginning of an extraordinary tale waiting to be authored by their united hearts.